Travis went good, though. Just got back, settling in. It's 1 o'clock. Let's see if I can get away with doing a video as I'm losing my breath. I had a comment this morning from a person born and raised Mormon, or at least was in the church at one point in time. I try to remember the lives of the people who share it with me. But I was asking, when will Mormons be fleeing to Missouri? And that's one version of several that Mormons have had as to how the second coming is going to happen. And having done the research, none of them are going to happen. Everybody is incorrect because they have incorrect premises for their conclusion. So let's go over the facts. One, Joseph Smith was Jewish, not Christian. Jesus was not his Christ. I keep begging you, as I keep doing videos covering the bombshells in the Joseph Smith papers, and you won't do it. And so very few of you find out what I find out. It was Brigham Young and his Danites who cooed the church and overthrew it and changed it, turned it into Christian. And so to put Jesus in your latter-day conclusions, your theories, automatically makes you wrong. Oh, now he's clean. He used to do it at 7, but now it's 1. Alright, well, okay. Have to readjust here. And hope I don't turn off the laptop. It's an automatic disqualifier. As I've been trying to get through to certain other people who keep trying to merge the supernatural with the natural. Once you include the supernatural in an argument, a discussion, you lose your debate. You lost me in your attempt to try to communicate with me. For example, there was a guy in here talking about the situations of the homeless, and then I was agreeing with him, adding to the conversation, and then all of a sudden he throws in, God's plan. You were doing great, and then you destroyed your conclusion. You can't throw in the supernatural to explain the natural. You have to trust the science, and you have to know how the science works. Because apparently just saying the science has many definitions, and it shouldn't. Didn't you guys do science fair projects in high school? You were told the process. You develop a hypothesis, and I simplify it for you by observing the patterns. We have 5 senses. No, your feelings are not a sense. It's not the 6th sense. And that's a spirit sense, but again, if if you believe in Joseph Smith, you believe in the natural world, and therefore the spirit is not supernatural, it's natural. But yet, this church denies science and pushes towards the supernatural. And they're doing that to try to attract a Christian conversion into this church. And it's stupid. I mean, the Mormon land, and I don't go to the podcast, so, it's stupid to see the news clip from the Salt Lake Tribune teasing me about the podcast. Do an article. Don't do an advertisement for some other show that I'm never going to watch. It's very frustrating. Since the church took over the Salt Lake Tribune, it's gone to hell. And even the woman that would cover the scandals of the church, she's been silenced by the church. I'm the only investigator of the church now. But, are obviously going to see anomalies that are not going to fit a pattern. I'm watching Star Trek Discovery, Season 4, trying to catch up. And they're encountering a new life form beyond the borders of the universe or the galaxy, and learned that it's a chemical feelings that are overlapped with lights to decode the feelings. That's the language that they were using to communicate with the Discovery crew. And so they were doing that scientific process, explaining it to us, though not explaining it as the scientific process, though obviously it's science that they were using. They were identifying the patterns and then explaining the anomalies with a theory test, and the theory test confirmed it's a language, and that's how they can communicate. That's how you do it. And so you see patterns in nature with the 5 senses, and then any anomaly, you have to develop a theory test. And you can't just say, well, if certain conditions are met, then we can test. No. Automatically lost. Your theory is wrong. Get rid of it. Figure something else out. You need to be able to immediately test. You can't just say, oh, if we find the brass plates, then we can test to find out if Joseph's translation is accurate or not, or if certain passages are plagiarized, or if they were prophecy of these plagiarized. No, doesn't count. That's not the science process. That's fallacy. You gotta dismiss it. You can't use it. And apologists still use it. And Mormons embrace it because they don't know the science process. They just like that the apologists are supporting the church, defending the church with lies. No, trust the science. And when you trust the science, you do not influence your bias into the equation. You do not say, well, it has to be Jesus, otherwise we aren't going to develop a test, and it's going to be wrong, and I don't believe it. No. Let the test give you the facts. And if it turns on the light bulb, you figured out the light bulb. If it still remains in darkness, you got to try something else. Develop another theory to explain how to turn on a light bulb. Hopefully some of these are catching on to you and will click for you so that you can understand. And so, And so putting in a supernatural element into your scientific theory automatically disqualifies you. Disqualifies the theory, and you've got to get rid of it. Because you can't test for it. It's not among the 5 senses. And so then what you have to do is assemble all the facts from all the theory tests you've gotten. That's why I've been doing the playlist of fast facts for you, so that you're supposed to assemble all those together and remove any of the falsehoods that you've got in your head that the church has been giving you. And so, yes, now you have to put in the new facts that you have to think in the mind of the Jew, the authors of Scripture. You got to remove Jesus from the equation, and thus the human mortal Christ, who will be born as a baby. Now I understand prophecy. How? Isn't that supernatural? I've run the tests. I can't explain it, but it works. You know, Joseph Smith, it's a little tricky because the Book of Mormon was written by his father. But I understand where they're coming from in using their names to think that they are the fulfillment of prophecy of Joseph of Egypt. And so I understand that. And in the sense, whether they forced them to be the fulfillment, the actual man like Moses, dear God, and if you haven't caught on, I did the science first, ran the tests, and and kept going to other prophecies, because like I keep telling you, all prophecies must be fulfilled. So, I'm going to have to wrap this up. So yes, I ran the test, I searched for him, I found him, and I can't explain it other than the science tells me it's a fact. Because I can't force it. I can't force the parents, the names, his childhood as an infant. I can't. That's out of my control. I cannot influence my bias like Brian David Mitchell did to alter the prophecies. I have to let the prophecies stand as they are, and they must be fulfilled. They must be tested as positive. They cannot have a negative test. All prophecies must be fulfilled, and they are. Nonetheless, Mormons don't believe in any of this because they put Jesus in the equation, and it screws everything up. And that's what's frustrating in my field in anthropology, is that you have Christians who come in, even Jews will go in and bias the archaeology digs and the discoveries that they make. And so like the tomb of Salome, Christians went in and biased the whole thing, when none of that is true, because they put Jesus into the equation. Jesus is supernatural. Jesus does not exist. Constantine created Jesus. Therefore, any theory with Jesus is wrong. And so you're looking instead for a mortal human being to be involved with all of the prophecies for the second coming. And you weren't hearkening to him, as Joseph Smith warned you over and over and over, and in the Book of Mormon, over and over and over, and in the Bible, over and over and over. And you didn't do it. You failed. And so you missed the two harvests, the Exoduses, 2020, 2022. You missed them. And so, yes, now's the part where we're going to be forced to flee. Interestingly, Nostradamus, I heard, has, and they are thinking in terms of Britain. However, I'm like, the church, huh? It's possible that there could be a meteor strike, just like Sodom and Gomorrah, the prophecy for that. But nonetheless, however it happens, we have to wait and see, but it will be as prophesied, because everything else has already happened. That's how I can assure you that that's what's coming, and other things that are coming, because everything else has already happened. I've given you the time frames for the last days because of them being prophesied. They're given to us. It's just a matter of recognizing it and hearkening, but you're not hearkening. You don't believe. And so, Southern Illinois, by the way, not Missouri, because Joseph Smith in the July 1840 that Brigham Young did not want in his Doctrine and Covenants in 1844, or the year before he died, because Brigham Young is exposed as Judas, the one who would murder him. So that's why that's not in our scriptures. But if you're going to think the church is true and Brigham Young is a true successor, your equations are going to conclude incorrectly. Your theory test will be wrong. And you'll have the contradictions that Mormons and myself, ex-Mormons, all have in the church. Well, why is it this? Because this over here says this. You can't explain the contradictions until you put in the facts. All of a sudden, the contradictions are explained. So why is the church of Jesus Christ? Because it's a great and abominable church. Because Brigham Young's not authorized. Everything's explained. Nelson is the dragon. He's the false prophet. So, I'm losing my voice. And so, there is no Zion. Because when you're forced, where are you going to go? It's not built. Nobody left to build it. So, Joseph warned. Utterly destroyed. So, good job. Belief in Jesus has destroyed you.